Hey, how's it going, everybody? So today we're going to go through the getters and setters to control access to an object in JavaScript using FreeCodeCamp. So we're going to read through this lesson together. So first, you can obtain values from an object and set the value of a property within an object. These are classically called getters and setters. Getter functions are meant to simply return or get the value of an object's private variable to the user without the user directly accessing the private variable, whereas setter functions are meant to modify or set the value of an object's private variable based on the value passed into the setter function. This change could involve calculations or even overriding the previous value completely. So in this example, we're creating a class called book, which takes in a argument called author, and we're passing this about the value of this argument called author into a private variable, which is called this.author. We have a getter function, which is called writer, and it returns the value of this.author to whichever function that calls this, and then you have a setter function, which is also called writer, and it takes a new argument called updated author, which passes this argument back to this.author, so that the next time when the getter function is called, this.author, which is now updated, will be passed towards the function that it was called in. So here you have a constant named novel and a novel. My bad. And it's got a class with an argument called anonymous passed to it. And now when you log novel.writer, which is the getter function, it will now pass anonymous because that was the value that was passed to it. And then you're going to now set novel.writer, which is the setter function, which is also called writer. With new author, you're updating, you're passing the value of new author into this argument called updated author, which in turn updates or sets this.author private variable within the class, within the new instance of this class, which is called novel. And so the next time when you call novel.writer, it will return the value new author. Now, the console will display the string of anonymous and new author, and notice the syntax used to involve the getter and setter. They do not even look like functions. Getters and setters are important because they hide internal implementation details. Note it is convention to precede the name of a private variable with an underscore. However, the practice itself does not make a variable private. So this is just some coding convention. So let's do a question together, which I actually have coded up here just now. But essentially, you use the class keyword to create a thermostat class. The constructor accepts a Fahrenheit temperature. In the class, create a getter to obtain a temperature in Celsius and setter to set the temperature in Celsius. Remember that Celsius is equal to this formula, which takes an argument of Fahrenheit, and Fahrenheit is a formula that takes a temperature of Celsius, where F is a value of temperature in Fahrenheit and C is a value of the same temperature in Celsius. Note, when you implement this, you will track the temperature inside the class in one scale, either Fahrenheit or Celsius. This is the power of setter, getter, and setter. You're creating an API for another user who can get the correct result regardless of which one you track. In other words, you're abstracting implementation details from the user. So I'm going to erase all of this and then we'll call it together. So class. So it says we're going to create a thermostat class, right? Which is going to be here. And now we need a constructor that accepts a Fahrenheit temperature. So we're going to call, we're going to create a new private variable called this temperature, and it's going to have the value of Fahrenheit temperature, which is passed into this constructor. Now, we'll comment all of this out. Now, if we log, this should return 76, right? There you go, it returns 76. So that is when you construct a new we need to instantiate a new class. So now we're going to write our getter function. Whoops. Temperature. Now, getter functions, they never accept any arguments, and they always have a return argument in their function. So we need to return the temperature in Celsius because that's all it says. We're going to, so this is when you call the getter function. Now we're going to do the setter function. What you set, we're going to convert it back into Fahrenheit. I'm gonna add some comp here because this is not Python. Let's see if this works, and it does. So in a nutshell, essentially what it is that getter functions, they have a class .getter name, and it does not accept an argument. When you call a getter function, you're essentially calling the class which is essentially instantiated on, right? Which in this case was thermals.getter. And this is how you and this is whoops. And this is how we call a getter function within for a class. And for setter function, you're essentially passing the class.setter name, and you have a value pass, and it does accept arguments. So thermals.setter is equal to a value, and this is how you call a setter function for a class. And what this does is that it will update this this dot temperature. So the next time you you call the getter function, it will update. It will return the updated variable. So if we were to set this to, let's say, C, okay, this should still return 26. And let's check this out. And it does return 26. So yeah, so that basically that's the difference. That is getters and setters in JavaScript. So there are also getters and setters in Java as far as I know. And I hope you found this lesson useful. If there's anything I can improve, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.